Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Ridge and Eric issue an ultimatum to Carter. The episodes from March 10th to 14th of The Bold and the Beautiful have left fans reeling in the midst of a week full of explosive revelations and high-stakes power plays at Forrester Creations. Carter is at the center of an ultimatum from Ridge and Eric, which not only threatens to upend his carefully balanced world of corporate ambition and personal loyalties, but also casts a long shadow over the complex web of relationships that have defined the Forrester dynasty for decades. The tension steadily increases over the course of these 5 days as Ridge, the steadfast patriarch whose values and unwavering commitment to upholding the family legacy have long served as his compass, teams up with Eric, the crafty and formidable titan whose presence in the boardroom is equaled only by his unrelenting quest for power, to present Carter with a choice that leaves no room for compromise. Either he makes immediate, uncompromising changes to correct his recent actions, which have been viewed as a betrayal of trust and a threat to the integrity of the Forrester empire, or he faces the devastating consequences that could see him permanently cut off from the circle of allies that have long been his support system. Ridge and Eric, who each represent different aspects of the company's legacy and future aspirations, decide that the time for leniency has passed and that Carter must now demonstrate that he is capable of aligning his actions with the long-held values of honor, transparency, and dedication to the family's interests. This ultimatum follows mounting pressure as Carter's recent decisions, whether they involve dubious business maneuvers, personal indiscretions that have strained his relationships with key figures, or his inconsistent loyalty that has left his colleagues and family members doubt his dependability, have culminated in a crisis of confidence within the upper echelon hierarchy. Ridge lays down the law in a series of intense boardroom confrontations and private, emotionally charged exchanges with a gravity that reflects his deep-seated commitment to upholding the Forrester name. He warns Carter that his continued self-serving behavior could cause irreversible fractures within the family's power structure, which is based on decades of trust, sacrifice, and the delicate balance of competing interests. Eric, whose reputation for ruthless efficiency and strategic acumen has earned him both admiration and fear among his peers, reinforces this ultimatum with a cold, calculated demand for accountability, insisting that Carter's next steps must be clear, decisive, and strictly in line with the company's overarching goals. With every word, glance, and quiet moment punctuating a story that is as much about corporate survival as it is about personal redemption, the atmosphere in these episodes is electrifying. Carter is shown struggling with the weight of this ultimatum, his face a study in conflicted emotions as he oscillates between defiance and regret, knowing that his future at Forrester, and in fact, his future in the lives of those who have depended on him, hangs on his ability to respond to this challenge with both humility and strategic foresight. A man caught between the lure of short-term gains and the imperative of long-term legacy is depicted in these episodes through flashbacks that intersperse the current drama with moments from Carter's past that illuminate the complex person he has become. These include moments where his ambition clashed with his personal values, instances where he was forced to make difficult decisions in the name of progress, and situations where his failure to fully commit to the ideals of loyalty and accountability set the stage for the current crisis. The combined intervention of Ridge and Eric, meanwhile, is presented not only as a measure of corporate discipline but also as a last-ditch effort to preserve the core of the Forrester dynasty, which has withstood scandal, treachery, and intense public scrutiny. The dynasty is now at a turning point in its history, and the choices made in the days ahead will determine whether its illustrious legacy endures or breaks irrevocably under the weight of internal strife. The fallout from Carter's impending decision will have far-reaching implications not only for the future of Forrester Creations but also for the personal relationships that are inextricably woven into the company's identity, a reality where the personal is always political and every emotional outburst carries the potential to shift the balance of power, according to the steely-eyed executives and family members who are having hushed conversations in dimly lit conference rooms as the implications of the ultimatum begin to ripple outward. Carter's internal monologue as he tries to come up with a response shows the intense conflict that is going on inside of him. The desire to be independent and follow his own definition of success clashes with the realization that his actions have harmed people he once thought of as family, and the fear of losing everything he has built, both financially and in terms of his reputation, tugs at him every second, leaving him immobilized in the face of an ultimatum that demands immediate change. Subtle subplots also allude to the pressures from outside sources, such as rival businesses, media attention, and the expectations of a devoted following that has grown to love every turn of the Forrester story. These factors all add to the situation's urgency, transforming what could have been a private family argument into a public spectacle with all the associated risks of scandal and irreversible harm to the brand's meticulously built reputation. Carter is seen perspiring in one particularly intense scene as Ridge and Eric deliver their ultimatum in a firm, united front that leaves no room for ambiguity. His eyes dart anxiously as he considers the potential consequences of not living up to the standards set before him, knowing that every mistake could cost him his job within the company and also cause the alliances he has painstakingly built over years of navigating the perilous waters of corporate intrigue to fall apart. With a tone as cold and calculated as a corporate strategist, Eric reminds Carter that loyalty is a currency that cannot be repurchased once spent and that the time for excuses has long passed. Ridge, speaking with the authority of a man who has built an empire on the foundation of unyielding principles, warns Carter that his actions are not just a personal failing but a betrayal of a legacy that spans generations. These episodes' dialogue is razor-sharp, full of double entendres and subtle threats that highlight the high stakes of the situation. Carter's efforts to appease his superiors and restore his reputation become more desperate as the days go by, and he frantically presents plans for corrective measures that seem inadequate and flimsy to those who have grown weary of his repeated mistakes. This internal conflict is reflected in the boardroom, where every executive's eyes seem to be pressing down on him like an anvil, and every quiet moment is tinged with the silent condemnation of peers who worry that the once promising heir to the Forrester family may be on the verge of a disastrous collapse. The story skillfully incorporates the personal aspects of this crisis, demonstrating that Carter's situation is not just about corporate governance but also about the complex web of relationships that have been woven together over time. These relationships include his tense relationships with Steffi, whose own path has been characterized by both love and betrayal, and the consequences of his choices for the larger Forrester family, whose fortunes are now inextricably tied to how this ultimatum turns out. The emotional stakes are just as high as the commercial ones, with Carter teetering on the brink of defiance and despair due to the explosive combination of personal pride, the fear of desertion, and the desire for redemption. The tension becomes almost tangible in the week's climactic moments as the pressure builds and the deadline for the ultimatum draws nearer. A charged silence permeates the Forrester Creations hallways as everyone awaits Carter's response, knowing that his next action will either solidify his position in the family's future or signal the start of an irreversible fracture that could reshape the dynasty's power dynamics. In the end, the story of these episodes is a testament to the harsh, unforgiving nature of life at Forrester Creations, where every choice has repercussions, every personal setback is magnified against the backdrop of corporate ambition, and the promise of redemption is always tempered by the harsh realities of legacy and the unchangeable laws of loyalty. In this intricate, emotionally charged story, Carter's ultimatum from Ridge and Eric not only forces him to face the full weight of his past mistakes and the difficult task of re-establishing trust, but it also acts as a catalyst for a larger reckoning within the Forrester empire. This reckoning will surely shape the future of the dynasty, test the bonds of family and friendship, and leave a lasting impression on the hearts and minds of everyone who has ever dared to dream of a legacy built on honor, accountability, and the unwavering pursuit of excellence. Steffi's rage, taking back Carter. In the high-stakes, emotionally charged universe of Forrester Creations, where every whispered secret and calculated maneuver can either cement a legacy or shatter it entirely, the week's dramatic events have left fans reeling and hearts pounding as two titanic forces clash. On one side, Hope launches an all-out fight to defend what she believes is the moral and emotional foundation of her world, while on the other, Eric, ever the cold, calculated architect of corporate survival, delivers an ultimatum that forces everyone to confront the uncompromising realities of loyalty, accountability, and the cost of ambition. It is against this turbulent backdrop that Hope and Carter, with voices trembling with both determination and heartbreak, assert with unwavering conviction that they are not like us, A phrase that encapsulates their rejection of the toxic culture of secrecy and betrayal that has long plagued their family's legacy and marks their desire to forge a new path defined by transparency, respect, and mutual trust. In a series of thrilling episodes, Hope's battle becomes a personal battle against the evil forces that have weakened her self-esteem and eroded her faith in the value of real connection. She refuses to let the selfish goals of those around her dictate the terms of her life. Her passion, developed over years of enduring deceit and loss, is evident as she faces the betrayals that have left her vulnerable and exposed, demanding that those who would jeopardize the Forrester legacy, whether through personal transgressions or corporate backstabbing, move aside and allow her to reclaim her story. The era of unbridled behavior and half-truths is over, and every member of the Forrester clan must now either align with his vision of discipline and accountability or face consequences that could permanently alter the balance of power. Eric's ultimatum, delivered in a boardroom scene that crackles with tension and foreboding, is as much a statement of ruthless business strategy as it is a personal rebuke. His words are laced with the chill of someone who has spent decades perfecting the art of power. Hope and Carter's audacious statement that they are not like us acts as a rallying cry in this turbulent environment, a defiant stand against the dominant culture of corruption and manipulation, and a promise that their future together will be based on the firm foundations of honesty and mutual respect rather than on the shifting sands of secrecy and self-interest. For them, it is not just a rejection of the status quo, but an embrace of a new identity that challenges the tactics of the old guard and reinterprets what it means to be a member of the Forrester dynasty. A story where personal betrayals are inextricably linked to the brutal demands of corporate survival, where the personal is always political, and where a single act of defiance can send shockwaves through the entire organization is made more tense by the whispered conversations in the shadowed corridors of power and the covert glances exchanged during private reckoning. Fueled by years of accumulated pain and an unwavering determination to preserve her family's honor, Hope's fight is depicted as both a very personal struggle and a symbolic moment of transformation, a time when the traditional methods of navigating relationships through silence and compromise are challenged by the unvarnished truth that she demands be heard, even at the risk of everything she has worked so hard to build. At the same time, Eric's demand looms large as a warning that the time for excuses is over. His exact, almost surgical, method of analyzing the shortcomings and mistakes of those around him compels each character to face the fact that mediocrity and indecision have no place in a world where ambition and legacy rule. Every choice has a significant impact on the future of the Forrester empire, and the tension between these two opposing forces, Hope's fervent protest against the injustices that have long damaged her sense of self and Eric's strict demands for accountability and order, creates an environment that is both full of possibilities and dangerous. Hope and Carter's declaration that they are not like us stands out as a pivotal moment in the plot against this dramatic backdrop. It is an affirmation of their dedication to a different way of living and loving, one that embraces the messy, unpredictable reality of genuine human connection, even when that connection necessitates vulnerability and the risk of heartbreak, and rejects the cynical pragmatism and emotional callousness that have characterized the behavior of many in their world. Their declaration is a potent assertion of identity that forces both their supporters and critics to re-evaluate what it means to be genuinely devoted in a field where corporate interests and individual goals frequently clash disastrously. The repercussions of Hope's unrelenting struggle and Eric's ultimatum become unavoidable as the episodes go on. Alliances are put to the test, old grievances reappear, and every encounter is tinged with the possibility that the meticulously crafted facade of the Forrester dynasty may finally be giving way to a new order characterized by honesty and integrity. While Eric's unyielding demands force every member of the organization to reassess their priorities and make a decision between their own interests and the larger good of the family legacy, Hope's defiant stance in this unstable environment is both an act of personal liberation and a calculated move meant to upend the established power structures that have long functioned on the basis of secrecy and deceit. Boardroom meetings are becoming battlefields for ideological supremacy, every word spoken carries the weight of fate, and Forrester Creation's future is hanging in the balance as it teeters on the brink of a revolution that promises to reshape the parameters of loyalty and trust. The tension is evident. Hope and Carter's claim that they are not like us in the midst of this tumultuous struggle is more than just a catchphrase, it is a profound, poignant statement that captures their conviction that genuine strength comes from having the guts to be honest, even when doing so comes at a high cost, and that having integrity of character can eventually change not only interpersonal relationships but also the foundation of an entire legacy. It is a call to action for every soul in the Forrester empire to put aside the burdens of past betrayals and embrace a future where relationships are based on genuine care rather than calculated self-interest. Their journey, replete with setbacks and moments of agonizing vulnerability, becomes a beacon for those who have long felt that the relentless pursuit of wealth and power frequently comes at the cost of humanity and empathy. The narrative not only captures the essence of Hope's struggle and Eric's ultimatum as the dramatic arc unfolds with breathtaking intensity, but it also vividly depicts a world in flux, one where forces that will not be silenced are challenging the status quo, where every muttered promise and loud declaration of defiance adds to a larger tapestry of change, and where the declaration "we're not like us" becomes a rallying cry for a new era defined by the courage to stand up for what is right, even at the cost of everything. The story that develops over these turbulent times ultimately serves as a testament to the strength of conviction in the face of overwhelming adversity. It serves as a reminder that, although the path to redefining one's destiny is frequently fraught with heartache and sacrifice, it is also the only way to a future in which the timeless values of loyalty, honesty, and hope can triumph over the destructive forces of deceit and despair, leaving behind a legacy that is measured not only in the glitter of wealth or the might of corporate power, but also in the unbreakable spirit of those who dare to believe that true change, no matter how difficult, is always worth the cost. The entire room trembles with anticipation and dread as Luna, whose life has long been a tapestry of glittering privilege interwoven with the bitter threads of abandonment and mistrust, finally reaches her breaking point and confronts Steffi in a dramatic showdown. As the luxurious yet merciless corridors of the Forrester empire buzz with whispered rumors and covert glances, the atmosphere thickens to an almost palpable level of suspense, and all eyes are fixed on the two women whose long-standing animosity and hidden pain have simmered beneath the surface for far too long, ready to explode into a maelstrom of raw emotion and brutal honesty. In that tense moment, when everything around them seems to slow down in preparation for the impending collision, Luna, her eyes burning with a mixture of defiance and sorrow, steps forward and, with a voice that echoes through the silence like a death knell, delivers 7 chilling words that cut through the tension like a sharpened blade, words that are as damning as they are definitive, encapsulating years of pent-up resentment and the deep-seated wounds caused by years of neglect and betrayal. With her lips barely moving, she says, "You are nothing without your broken promises," a statement that reverberates throughout the stunned silence of the room and sends shockwaves through the tenuous alliances that have held the Forrester legacy together. Every syllable of Luna's voice, which trembles with both anger and a deep sense of hurt, seems to be the culmination of years spent living in the shadows of a family where superficial luxury once concealed deeper dysfunctions, where promises made in moments of desperate hope were repeatedly broken by the cold realities of power plays and personal ambition. In that moment, Luna's declaration is not just an attack on Steffi's character or a personal grudge, rather, it is a searing indictment of a system that has allowed betrayal to fester and trust to erode, a call to account for every whispered secret that has left scars too deep to heal, and a call to account for every silent betrayal that has occurred. The confrontation plays out with a cinematic intensity that rivals the most spectacular soap opera spectacles. The lighting fades and the background hum of whispers intensifies to a crescendo as Luna's words linger in the air, charged with the electricity of suppressed emotions finally released. Steffi, who is known for her unwavering will and carefully constructed facade of control, is taken aback by the intensity of Luna's outburst, her normally neutral expression breaking to reveal the flicker of panic and disbelief that dances in her eyes, because she knows that the days of half-truths and polite deference are over, and that Luna's message, both straightforward and devastating, is a turning point that could permanently change the dynamics of their intertwined lives. The long, agonizing years in which Luna had held on to the hope that things might one day change, despite the glitter of luxury and the facade of familial love belying a darker reality, the innumerable times when Steffi's assurances proved to be hollow, the subtle betrayals that accumulated like a storm cloud on the horizon, and the memories that flash before everyone's eyes as the silence stretches out, filled with the heavy implications of those 7 words. The moment when the masks come off and the unvarnished truth shows how the very foundations of trust have been undermined by years of self-centered ambition and emotional desertion. Luna's declaration, delivered with an almost otherworldly clarity, forces Steffi to face not only her own shortcomings but also the cumulative weight of all the broken promises and neglected responsibilities that have defined their relationship. Luna's voice is steady, her eyes unwavering in their resolve, and she continues to speak with a mournful yet resolute cadence, outlining the devastating consequences of a legacy built on empty assurances and the bitter sting of unmet expectations in the charged silence that follows. All of her words are demands for accountability, for the lies of the past to be exposed, and for the true cost of betrayal to be acknowledged, even if it means tearing down the fragile facades that have long defined their world. As the echoes of those terrifying 7 words reverberate through the room, a noticeable change takes place, a crack in the armor of pretense, a moment of reckoning that exposes the price of living in a world where promises are made in haste and broken without regret. Steffi, despite her strength and resolve, is momentarily paralyzed by the force of Luna's uncompromising indictment, her mind racing to reconcile the image of the powerful woman she has always projected with the reality of the deep-seated vulnerabilities that now stand exposed in the glare of Luna's scrutiny. Every witness in the room feels the weight of the moment in that long, heart-stopping silence, as though time itself has stopped to witness a confrontation that goes beyond simple personal hostility and touches on universal themes of loyalty, trust, and the unavoidable consequences of ignoring one's moral obligations. Even the smallest sound, a creak of the floorboards, the rustle of fabric, a gentle exhalation, seems amplified due to the extreme tension, highlighting the seriousness of the situation and the potential seismic effect of Luna's remarks on the precarious power dynamics within the Forrester dynasty. As the scene progresses, it becomes more and more evident that this is not just a single incident or a brief disregard for manners, but rather the result of a protracted, agonizing journey filled with quiet moments of despair and simmering resentment. It is a turning point that compels Luna and Steffi, and by extension, the entire family, to face the harsh realities of their relationships, the integrity of the bonds that have been promised and then broken, and the unadulterated fact that, in a world driven by ambition and the unrelenting pursuit of power, the price of neglecting the heart can be too great. For Steffi, these 7 words serve as a stark reminder that the legacy she has worked so hard to preserve is now in danger of being irrevocably harmed by the cracks of mistrust and the unhealed wounds of the past. For Luna, they are a release of pent-up rage and a desperate cry for change, a plea for a world where honesty replaces pretense and where the corrosive effects of betrayal are finally exorcised from the relationships that matter most. In the aftermath of this cathartic confrontation, a new beginning might emerge, one that is forged not from half-truths and empty promises but from the raw, unadorned power of honest confrontation and the unwavering commitment to rebuilding what has been broken. As the intensity of the moment reaches its peak, the emotional charge in the room becomes almost overwhelming, a heady mix of despair, anger, and a fragile hope. Every character in the room is forced to face the painful reality that the legacy of Forrester Creations is not just based on wealth and power, but also on the delicate interplay of trust, betrayal, and the unwavering human desire for redemption. This truth, once acknowledged, has the power to either heal deep-seated wounds or leave scars that may never fully fade away. It is in that one monumental moment when Luna's chilling declaration cuts through the haze of pretense and demands accountability. The confrontation thus stands as a pivotal moment in their story, one that promises to alter the future of their relationships, to upend the family's established order, and to leave an enduring impression on the hearts and minds of everyone who dares to believe that even the most terrifying truths, once spoken, hold the power to set the path toward a new, uncertain, but ultimately more authentic beginning. This is because the echoes of Luna's 7 words, "You are nothing without your broken promises," linger in the charged silence.